Welcome back. I am going through the memoir entitled Rebirth, which is the birth experience of my first daughter, the spiritual experience I had around it. If you just stumbled upon this video now, just know that I'm reading chapter by chapter and I started at the beginning. So go ahead and look back to the beginning so that you are following this in sequence so that you understand the story, where it's come from and where it's going. And if you've been following along and you like the story, please make sure that you like and share it so that it reaches the people who are meant to hear it. And if you haven't subscribed yet, please subscribe. It will help you know when the next chapter is available. So now I'm reading chapter 13, which is entitled Coming Back from the Darkness. Clinging to the ceramic sink, my mind slid into the void. But a stirring rose from deep within, a new voice emerged. Take your daughter in your arms, the voice whispered, cutting through the static of my despair. Start anew, make a new choice. I resisted, unsure. How could I move forward when I felt so paralyzed, so ready to surrender to the darkness? Its weight pressed too heavily on me. But the voice calmly persisted. It's a choice. You can cling to despair, feed it, and let it grow, or you can take a step in another direction towards what your heart truly wants. Surrendering to despair seemed so much easier. All I had to do was let go and stop trying. Then another echo rose, softer but deeper. Don't let your emotions push away what you most desire. The word struck like a lifeline. I didn't want to fall into the dark recesses of my mind. My heart still yearned for something else, and somehow that yearning shone through. I took a breath, as if learning to walk again. I pushed through the inertia. Each movement felt like lifting stone, but inch by inch, I pulled myself from the sink, from the shadows, and stepped through the doorway into the light. The room was much brighter now, the colors more vivid. Mauro stood in front of me, beaming, cradling our baby girl in his arms. A reluctant smile formed on my lips, dissolving the last remnants of resistance. He stepped forward and pressed Rocco against my chest. The moment she landed in my arms, everything else fell away. Peace washed through me, and my heart swelled with the sense that, finally, things were as they were meant to be. I had crossed the battlefield, victorious and whole again. Mauro leaned in, wrapping his arms around both of us. Love surged through my veins, repairing the cracks. Our family was back together, and there was nothing I wanted more. A nurse entered, wheeling a chair behind me. I sat down, Rocco still in my arms, and they wheeled us out into the hallway. Everything was in motion again, the energy outside the birthing room alive and chaotic. Mauro's mom surprised me as she leaned in to offer congratulations as the chair wheeled by her. I nodded, then smiled, looking back, but I wasn't ready to share the moment. All I wanted was quiet, just me, Mauro, and Rocco. The chair rolled into a small hospital room with 2 beds. The first was already occupied. They parked me next to the window, and I climbed onto the freshly made bed, grateful for stillness and time alone with my baby. But the peace didn't last. Every 2 hours, a nurse woke me. Rocco needed to be examined every 4 hours as a precaution due to the suspected water rupture, and I needed to be monitored every 4 hours as well. Sleep came in scraps. Just as I drift off, something would jolt me awake. The baby, the beeping monitor, or the cries of the other infant in the room. The interruptions felt endless. Could you check on the baby when you check on me? I asked one nurse, bleary-eyed. No, we have to follow the schedule, she said curtly. I winced at the fluorescent lights, frustration tightening in my chest. No one had warned me about this. I had asked Sarah about going to the hospital, but no one had spoken much of it. Every minute intensified my need for rest. I didn't know why I needed to be monitored and lacked the energy and foresight to ask. Thinking I was alone behind the privacy curtain, I sat up to breastfeed. Just then, a male doctor appeared at my bedside, smiling broadly. I froze. His cheerful energy clashed violently with my raw, exposed state. My postpartum body was in full display. Bloated belly, baby latched to my engorged breasts, mesh hospital diaper hugging my hips. I wasn't ready for a conversation, let alone with a male stranger. I didn't know who he was, and his presence felt jarring and uninvited. I tried to process his words, but my mind spiraled, focused entirely on how vulnerable I felt. He, on the other hand, seemed completely unfazed. He smiled and asked questions casually, as if he'd bumped into an old friend at a cafe. I couldn't keep up. I just wanted him to leave so I could compose myself. Until this point, every caregiver except the anesthesiologist had been female. His sudden, unannounced presence shocked me. When the room was quiet again, I stepped into the curtained hallway, assuming it was empty. I was surprised to find one of the OBs from the birth standing there, smiling warmly. "How are you doing?" she asked, her eyes full of genuine concern. "How's the bleeding?" The question threw me. I blinked, trying to make sense of it. "How's the bleeding?" My mind scrambled to decode her meaning. "It's fine," I offered, unsure, my tone more of a question than an answer. She nodded, placed a comforting hand on my shoulder, smiled gently, and walked away. But I was left spiraling. Why was she asking? What was I supposed to be monitoring? It wasn't any different from a regular period. How was I to know what was normal? That evening, Sarah appeared at the foot of my bed. Relief swept over me. Finally, someone who could provide us with answers. Except I didn't have all my questions formulated yet. Still, her presence felt reassuring. Then, just before leaving, she casually said, "The next visit will be with Amy." My body stiffened. My smile vanished, and panic surged through me like a crashing wave. My throat tightened. My heart hammered, and I forced a hesitant smile. I glanced at Mauro, willing him to intervene with my stare. Sarah glanced between Mauro and me, then wished us good night and left. "Why didn't you say anything?" I asked Mauro as soon as she was gone, my voice trembling. "I didn't know what to say," he answered. "I can't face her. I just can't." The pressure intensified in my chest. "I feel traumatized by her, Mauro. What she did wasn't right. I'm not a doctor, but I knew something was wrong. I shouldn't have had to beg her to empty my bladder. She should have known." My voice cracked as everything I'd been holding back poured out. Mauro gently shushed me. "You're getting a little excited, and you're speaking a little too loudly." I wanted to scream. Good, let them hear. Something was wrong, but instead I tried to explain again. She put my life in danger, Mauro," I cried. "What if my bladder had ruptured? What if something happened to the baby?" He tried to reason with me. "We don't know what she should have known. Maybe it's not common knowledge." My nostrils flared and I snapped. "Not common knowledge, it's her job. If she doesn't know something, she should at least know enough to trust the birthing mother's instincts. Instead, she yelled at me. She told me it was okay to be angry. What happened to the birthing mom needs to be calm and relaxed to release the good, helpful birthing hormones." I remembered Evelyn's voice, calm and full of wisdom, as she explained the importance of oxytocin, the hormone that keeps labor moving along, connects mother to baby, and triggers breastfeeding and bonding. Oxytocin doesn't flow in panic mode. It doesn't flow when you're ignored, dismissed, or fighting for your life. It flows in safety, trust, and care. I had fantasized about being held and pampered during the entire process, fully trusting my caretakers. But Amy never even tried to help. Evelyn had taught us the vital role of emotional safety during labor, words of encouragement, a gentle presence, respect for the mother's wisdom, and the creation of a peaceful space. Her teaching echoed in my mind as I sat in that bathtub, the pressure building, Amy yelling, dismissing, withdrawing. Each shout, each refusal, each passive stare was a betrayal. Mauro shrugged. "I don't know. Maybe we just have to give her the benefit of the doubt." I shook my head, incredulous. Benefit of the doubt. I feel traumatized, Mauro, and I don't say that lightly. I don't even use that word in reference to my childhood. My voice trembled. I was terrified. I was begging for help. She just watched me suffer. She yelled at me, treated me like a nuisance. I was terrified at the thought of seeing her again. Just hearing her name sent a jolt of panic through me, tightening my chest and stealing my breath. Images looped relentlessly in my mind, her face, her voice, her betrayal, each one cutting deeper than the last. My body couldn't distinguish past from present. It was all happening again. Tears streamed down my face, and I felt powerless to stop them. And that is the reading of chapter 13, entitled Coming Back from the Darkness, from my memoir. Thank you again for being here. I really appreciate it. I'd love to hear any thoughts or insights or reflections that you have as you're listening to this story. I would love to know what brought you here. And if you know anyone who might like the story, please like and share it so it reaches the people who are meant to hear it. And thank you again for being here. And I look forward to seeing you